Hi, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. Today, I am talking with a wonderful guest, and this conversation is going to be fantastic. So, this Conversations with Your Wild podcast is a show where I chat with authentic, heart-centered experts about very interesting topics. That these topics are here to spark and inspire and motivate both personal and professional change. And today we're going to be talking about this topic, which if you clicked on it's because you're like, yeah, get me some of that. And it is be in charge, take action, and get results. This conversation is worth your while. If you're feeling stuck in any way, shape, or form, maybe in your personal life, your business, your relationships, your health, your finances, doesn't matter the segment. If you are feeling stuck and you don't know what to do, and you've decided that today is the day that you no longer want to feel trapped in the turmoil, well, we're going to share a simple way to break through overwhelm, frustration, confusion, and anything else that might be stopping you. And that is going to be awesome. So buckle in. I am Linda Bucher. I am a transformational speaker and a master certified life coach. And I used to be stuck in every way, shape, or form. After living the life of a chameleon and feeling like a victim for 45 years, I kid you not, I finally discovered who I am. I've connected with my passion and my purpose. I've reinvented my life to align with my true self. And guess what happens? When that happens, you're happier. I'm happier, more confident, more fulfilled, right? But most importantly, now I can confidently unleash my gifts into the world. And you have gifts too. Everybody listening, you have gifts. So you have a rich, full life to lead. You have important gifts to give to the world. You have a big splash to make. So if you are ready to do that, you're going to want to connect with me. I'll also tell you at the end how to do it. But let's just talk for 20 minutes right on my website. There's buttons all over. It says chat with Linda. Clarity session, 20 minutes. I swear to God, you got clarity. So that's what you're going to do. But today, we are going to share some really awesome stuff that you can get going on right now. So how awesome is that? So I have the pleasure today of being joined by Erin Marcus. She is the founder and the CEO of Conquer Your Business. And she is making positive ripples in the world. She is splashing all over with her gifts. She helps people to take charge of their business, but that allows them to ultimately take charge of their lives. And whether you own a business or not, you're going to love today's podcast. So, Erin, I'm going to turn it over to you. And I'd love if you would just tell us a little bit more about how you are making these big, beautiful ripples in your unique way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited about this conversation. I know how much we both get excited about this topic, so this is awesome. The way that I make ripples is I absolutely believe that change happens from the ground up, that we can't wait for the people in charge of the things to hand us the life we want, the results we want. And the way that I serve that end goal is through helping business owners get out of being stuck in the day-to-day operations and being a business operator, a business doer, and move into a business owner to create the business that they wanted when they first started their business in the first place, and not got stuck doing all the things, wearing all the hats, and not knowing how do we get over that bridge. So that's what I do. And I think every business owner that I help make more money gets to have the positive impact that they want to have. So it feels like a very big ripple.
Yes, it is a huge ripple. And what's beautiful is the way that you help people in business is the way I help people personally. So this framework that we're going to be sharing with people, it works everywhere, every way, because it's based in something beautiful and foundational, which we're not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but we're going to share that with everybody. So let's talk a little bit about the stuck, right? So if you're stuck in any way, not just in your business, but also in business, because I love what you said. I have a master's degree in business and I worked in the corporate world for 27 years. And so when I started, my business as a coach, first I thought of myself as I'm a coach, right? I'm becoming a coach. That was the first thing I became. And I didn't look at my business like a business until I realized you got to look at your business like a business. But problem, I have a master's degree in business. I know business. I was a computer programmer. I was a financial analyst. I was in the marketing department for 14 years doing that kind of stuff. And then I was a project manager. Like there's probably no part of business I don't know. And I got to wear all these hats, right? But guess what? I sucked at it. Why would that possibly happen? Right? God, right? And then what happens when we suck at something we think we're supposed to be good at? We're like, get all mad at ourselves and beat ourselves up. Like, I'm not as smart as I thought, right? It's crazy.
It's
So
brutal.
and so then the next logical thing we do, what I tried to do logically, which I will tell everybody, don't do this, is go on the internet and see what everyone else is doing and do it their way.
Yeah, don't do that.
Did you do that when you first started your business?
Yes and no. I mean, for me, and I'll give your audience my little disclaimer before we get way into this. I'm real direct. And here's why. Number one, I am of no service if all I'm doing is blowing smoke up your skirt. So that's not helpful. I don't know. You don't have time for me to beat around the bush. That's not helpful either. And let's just face it, it's just part of my personality. So what I do with this whole thing of being stuck and getting unstuck, and we all go through this, but I try to get real black and white. I try to get real, just two options here, real direct language, so that I know if I'm moving towards something or away from it, so that I'm not staying stuck. And the number one thing that I had to figure out when I was in the position that you were just describing is that there's only one reason for it. There's one reason. I call it out. It's fear. It's fear. That's it.
Totally.
It's 100% every single time. Confusion is fear. Frustration is fear. Overwhelm is fear. Distraction is fear. And I use the word fear so that I know what I'm dealing with, not to put myself down, because I grew up in Chicago in the 70s and 80s, public school. Fear is like not, don't show the fear to frightened animals.
Sure, yeah.
Like, this is not something I would ever want to project. But if I use that language to myself, this is just fear. Now I have the data I need to be able to start working on a solution. When we say we're busy and overwhelmed and distracted, now we can't ever solve those problems. It becomes like a shell game, right?
Yeah.
If I just say what it is and I just call it out, now I can work on it.
100%. That's what coaches always help our clients do. We help them find it's like we have a tool with the 5 whys, I'm overwhelmed. Why? Because, right. And even the more whys you ask, they finally get down to the fear. Like, I don't think I know enough. That's a big giant fear. I'm afraid I don't know enough. And it's really just a belief that is causing the fear, because fear, all emotions are a response to a thought pattern, something we've been thinking over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so now it's like a default, and it's even subconscious. We don't even know it's there half the time. So fear is what we feel. It shows itself in overwhelm, and we're bad with time management. That's how it manifests. But the bottom line is a belief behind there. I don't know enough to solve this problem. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I probably won't succeed anyway. This is all the crap that's in our head that's causing all this fear.
And for me, maybe I'm looking for the hack. Maybe I'm looking for the easy button. Maybe I'm looking to close the gap on time. And if you want to close the gap on time, just cut to the chase. I don't play around with it. I don't play around with dissecting it. I don't play around with the 85 whys to figure it out. I go right to the heart of it. Step 1. How do you move forward faster? Hack the system by just accepting without making myself bad, without making myself wrong, that if I have a negative emotion that is keeping me from doing the thing I said I wanted to do, it comes down to fear every single time. So why dwell? Why dwell? Hack the system, go right into the bottom why. It's a fear. We know this. It's every single time. We know this. So once you kind of hack the system, you can go through it faster, right? I'm not a bad person for having fear. That's my brain trying to save my life. This is how it works. Thank you, little brain, for trying to save my life, right? Go right after the source, right? Be brave enough, right? Fortune favors the brave. Be brave enough to go right into the source and say, I'm not going to dwell. I'm not going to dwell. I'm just going to go right after. What's the fear that's holding me back in this situation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. That's perfect. So, can you remember a time where you, like a story maybe you have about being super stuck, when you look back now?
Oh God, like when? Yesterday, the day before? Like this is I I think that's one of the things I had to learn is that this never goes away. It just accept it. It'll show, they say new level, new devil. I don't believe in that. It's new level, same devil, different outfit, right? It's the same problem. It's just gonna look a little different today, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the story I'll give you is really the shortcut that you can listen to what you say. Listen to what you say. Listen to what you tell yourself. Listen to what you say. After a coach helped me realize it, the thing that comes out of my mouth when I am stuck, when I'm trapped in the turmoil, and my boyfriend pointed this out to me because he was laughing at me. And the thing that comes out of my mouth is, I don't even know what to do with myself. That's the quote, right? What does that even mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So if I'm like that I have a high energy, but I'm not a manic confused person. I have a high energy, but I don't have a high emotion confusion level. As soon as I hear these words, I don't even know what to do with myself. Or as soon as I have that thought, dead giveaway, right? It happens all the time. So become that observer.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to yourself? That's a good, I call it my check engine light. That's my check engine light. If that's, and I can't even come up with a story for you because it happens all the time, right? It happens all the time.
I love that you brought that up because a lot of times it happens. I hear clients say it, like, well, we already got through this once. Why is it here again? We have these ingrained thought patterns. We've thought them so many times over and over and over and over and over again. They're like well-worn ruts, and that wagon wants to keep falling into those ruts. We've got to make some new ruts. And so it's a practice. And like, it's a way of being is to be, and like you said, be an observer of your emotions. And then once you find that emotion, now you can say, you can be observer. What's the thought? What am I thinking right now that's causing this? And then with the work through coaching, we can dispel those beliefs because they're just beliefs, and we're all capable of changing our minds on things. It's a perception issue. It's nothing more than that. Only a perception. It's actually pretty simple to shift our perception. And when we do this and we think differently, we catch ourselves. Oh, there's that old thought again, but I've already proven to myself that's not true. It's still going to show up, and that's okay. You just notice, once you notice it's there again, you can say, oh, I remember that's not true. And immediately your emotions will shift, and you can shift out of fear and into gear.
Well, and the story I'll give you, and this is one of my comparisons, is about my dog. Because I had a dog that when I first rescued her, just to even be in the car, she had to be in the crate under a blanket because she couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. And as we progressed through the years, she never got over her reactivity. She just recovered faster and faster and faster.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to, like I said, make myself wrong. I have to fix this problem with my brain. I'm just trying to catch it faster so that what used to throw me for a year, it's only a month, and it's only a week, and then it's only a day, and then it's only an hour, and then it's only, wait, no, not doing that. Momentarily move in the other direction. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'm trying to do. So I'm sorry, this story is about my dog, but that's my life. But that's all I'm trying to do is catch it and recover faster.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing. That's the way it goes. Yeah. That's, when people ask me, they say, well, then you walk your talk. You do stay calm in the midst of the storms. How do you do that? I'm like, it's practice.
Practice. I've had so many storms to practice, right? It's practice.
We've got the tools. You and I have learned tools, and we've practiced and honed them enough that now we can share them and teach them to other people. And I'm excited about what we're going to be talking about in a little bit of a minute here. But let's talk about being in charge, taking action, getting results. Right? Like, what does that enable us to do?
anything. I mean, can we say any? So I want to back up to the framework you gave in the beginning. I am a business consultant, so I work with business owners. However, this process came to me way before I owned my own business working with other businesses. It literally came to me through health problems as a child.
Mm.
And then it came to me again in my personal pursuits when I used to do powerlifting and bodybuilding. It showed up there, right? It's the observation of how this all works. It showed up in my corporate job. Being in charge, there's two parts. Number one is making decisions, and number two is taking responsibility. I did not like this when it was first explained to me. I first really got into this when I was going through my divorce, and I wanted to take no responsibility, right? Because
Yeah.
there was no, right? Like, I was not interested in being responsible, quote unquote, for the divorce because he was much more at fault than I was. But that I had to learn that that's not what this means. That's
Right.
not what this means. I had to learn I have to make a decision. I have to take personal responsibility for everything that happens. I have to make a decision, not wait, not let other people make the decision. And that's the biggest part of this, because I worked for years in industries working with families with aging parents. So my health, your finances, aging parents, your business, whatever you want to apply this to, hands down, the bottom line is, if you don't make decisions for you, people who are not vested in you get to make those decisions. And it doesn't make those people wrong. They could be doctors, lawyers, estate planning, whatever it is. If you don't make those decisions for you, other people, in effect, make those decisions for you. And they might not want the same things as you do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first piece of the puzzle, if you are stuck, is make a decision and then take responsibility for that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the best part of it, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the right decision. We work our way towards the right decision. You work your way toward, right? It's take actions the next day. So you make that decision. You take responsibility for that decision. You take action around that decision. Be in charge, take action, all the action, get results. Not the results you want necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
You get some results. Those results are what lets you go back to step one and make a better decision.
Mm-hmm.
You decide your way forward. You act your way forward. You get the results. You make a better decision. If you can do that every day instead of once a year, can you imagine where you're going to be?
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I love this take responsibility piece. I mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast that I spent 45 years living like a chameleon, which means I just did what everybody else wanted me to do and what I thought I should do to be the person that they think I should be. And so by not deciding, like you said, other people are deciding for you. And I got to a point, I remember saying out loud, like, okay, I don't know what life I'm meant to be living, but I know it's not this one.
Ain't it?
It's not this one. I don't like how I get here. Like, right? I was climbing a corporate ladder before I realized that that ladder was leaning against the wrong building. That's not the building I wanted to climb. Wait a minute, because I never asked myself, what building did I want to climb? So I had my whole life, I had never taken responsibility for my own life.
And by the way, can I just stop you to show people how important it is? It doesn't mean it's in a bad way.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't have to, you could be hugely successful having not actually taken responsibility for something.
Yeah,
and I think that's a really important nuance.
True. But what happens is then, because it's not your decision, it then never truly fits you.
Yes.
That's where you find I'm out of alignment, but I never stop to ask myself, what do I want? I never asked myself that. I was just trying to be the person that I thought I was supposed to be.
Which sounds like a good thing, by the way. Like, it doesn't sound like a
person. Yeah, I wasn't a bad person, but I was gapingly unfulfilled. And then at like 45 years old, I was like, okay, what? Oh my God. So now I got to trust myself. but I can't trust myself if I don't know myself. So I got to get to know myself. And the scary thing about when my clients, I'm helping them to like get to know that fundamental you, right? Because you got to get to know you so that you can actually know that you're totally worthy, right? Because you can't go anywhere if you don't know you're worthy. So you got to get to know you. But the scary thing about getting to know you, so people are like, well, what if I don't like who I find? Or second, they're like, well, what if I like who I find, but my husband or my wife or my best friend or my mother doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the third scary thing is, what if I find who I am and then I have to do something
I know.
about it, right? So it's scary. But like you say, you just make a decision. And I think Anais Nin said, when the pain of remaining tight in a bud was greater than the fear of blossoming, right? That's when I blossomed. And that's how I feel like I was tight in that bud for so long. I didn't know myself anything. And I just got to blossom. I was all done. Right. So that was my very beginning of taking responsibility.
Well, and what you said there that we started with, it's all fear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's where we started this. Why are we stuck? We're stuck because of the fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not until you can be brave enough to face the fear that you're going to make a decision and take responsibility.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And our two biggest fears, if we were to take all the fears we ever have and put them in a pot and boil them down to the sludge at the bottom, the sludge would be made up of I'm not enough and there's not enough.
Right?
Those are our basal fears.
Hierarchy of needs, right? It's
Yeah.
that simple.
Yeah. So that's why, like, I have this work I do called the worthiness repair shop. And we're repairing the sense of worthiness. Each of us have a degraded sense of worthiness. But worthiness itself is not degradable. It's also not even earnable. It's just 1,000% when we're born. But we have to repair that because our sense of it, our perception gets degraded over our lifetimes. And then when we don't believe we're enough, we don't believe in ourselves. We can't have that confidence that we need to move forward. Right. So that is the very base work I'm always doing with my clients is let's repair that sense of worthiness. Because once you know I am enough, like you can say that not as an affirmation in the mirror to try to believe it and that your brain's going to argue with, but that you can actually like
the embodiment of it,
and know it in such a way that you don't even have to shout it from the rooftops because you don't care if anyone else knows. That's like the quiet confidence that you get from that. When you know when you can honestly say, I am enough, then there's no more fear of failure because you don't make it mean that you're not enough because you already know you're enough. So this is why this is that base work that I'm always doing with people. There's no fear of failure once you know you're enough. There's no wrong moves once you know you're enough. Then you take this responsibility because you know it doesn't degrade your worthiness if you fail.
It's the separation of worthiness as a human because you exist and whether or not any single action works or doesn't work. And we have ruined that separation to such an extent. Generation after generation has just complicated and ruined that separation to when I watch my nieces getting into high school and the pressure that they put on themselves to be perfect. Like there is a difference between our age group and the normal thing of wanting to fit in because that's normal. And now it's not just wanting to fit in, it's wanting to be perfect.
Right.
And it's just not how it works. You fail forward every single time. And I saw a Gary V reel the other day, and this is a perfect example about this: be in charge and make decisions and how fear stops us and keeps us stuck. It was really simple. He said the problem holding most people back is that they want to make 3 decisions in their business, 3 decisions in your life, and they want all 3 of them to be correct. They want to be 3-0. His goal is to be like 118 and 72.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Moving forward faster is making decisions faster so you can figure out if that was the right or the wrong decision, not in the big picture right or wrong, but in the minuscule picture right or wrong.
Yeah.
And then just using that the faster you can get through the process, the faster and further you will go, as opposed to sitting on the starting line waiting to figure out, is this a good decision? Because there's no way to do that. You can't think your way through these things.
Right. Right. Yeah. Tell me the analogy that you have about
analogy that I just came up with this too. I'm very excited. I was telling you about this earlier because I said this to a client. Again, I gave you the warning. I'm real direct. So if you've ever watched American Ninja Warrior, and by the way, I'm so angry, not even upset, angry that wasn't a thing back in my physical heyday, because I would have been so all over that. I was
in there.
at my age, we're not doing American Ninja Warrior, but my body, yeah, we're past that point. But I would have been so all over it. So if you watch these people, the competitors, especially if you watch their backstories and then their year over year, they fall on these obstacles, right? They try, they get a little further, they get a little further, they get a little further, they try. And then eventually they literally, between decisions, where am I going to put my hand? How am I going to jump? And then taking action and getting the results, they eventually figure that obstacle out. And once they figure out that type of obstacle, they don't really fall on it anymore, unless something happens, right? Most of the time, once they figure out how to do a particular type of obstacle, they stop falling on it, which means they keep moving faster. Muscle memory is a thing, and they just keep moving forward. What they don't do, what they never do, is just sit on their butts at the starting line, thinking. They might visualize for a second, but nobody gets to the end of the obstacle course by sitting on the starting line,
Right.
thinking, and nothing happens until you take off running. Nothing happens until you take off running.
Right. We can only learn through experience, and we can only experience by doing, not by sitting, and not by being wallowing in this puddle of fear that we're sitting in. That is the whole thing. Okay. Let's talk about, I know you love to use a framework, and it aligns with mine as well. So I'm going to let you introduce this framework, and for being in charge, for taking action, and for getting results.
So the first thing is, don't fall into the trap of the human nature trap of it's all or nothing. We're not talking about, I only get to make one decision in my life, so it better be perfect, right? We're talking about more in the moment. What do I need to do next? And so the first framework is that decision making. How do you make decisions? You have to learn how your body interprets your instincts. I'll give you real simple. A negative, the bad idea, it's always a clench. You might feel it in a different place than I feel it, but let's face it, it's always, don't marry that guy, don't walk down that dark alley, don't take that job, don't say yes to working with that client, don't say yes to working with that consultant, whatever, it's always a clench.
Yeah, we feel it in our bodies. We need to be aware in our bodies when we're making decisions, because there is a mind-body connection. And a lot of times our brain wants to overrule our instincts, and our instincts are smarter.
Your instincts are smarter.
And our GPS, and our brain is our race car. So you wouldn't willy-nilly point your race car not knowing in the direction you're going, and listen to your GPS, turn it on.
And to your points earlier, your brains have patterns you're stuck in. So why are we listening to it?
Right.
Your brain's just trying to stay stuck in its pattern. That's its job. That's what it does. So the first step is to learn, how does your body tell you yes or no? For me, yes, I have a name for it. My yes is buzzy roller coaster. And I call it buzzy roller coaster because it's excitement and fear at the same time, which means I'm on my growth edge, which means I'm moving forward and not staying stagnant. And for me, I'm fine in line at the roller coaster, it's boring. I'm fine on the roller coaster, it's fun. But for some reason, when they slot you into the cattle, I start getting all nuts because I'm excited and scared at the same time. So I'm looking for buzzy roller coasters. So number one, you have to decide. And you make your decision based on learning how to interpret your instincts. Are we coming out of fear? Don't do that. Or are we listening to buzzy roller coaster, growth edge? Yes. It's on, game on, let's go. So that's step one.
Yeah, I just want to jump on that real quick. If fear comes with exhilaration, it's a hell yes.
Yes, right. Fear, right.
Fear
Excitement
with
is fear without breathing. Yes.
exactly right. It's the exhilaration, like, oh, right. That's that stretch. And you
Yes.
know what? We're not telling everybody they have to like make a big giant leap into discomfort.
No.
But stretch feels safer than a leap, right? A leap's like, oh, there's, I could fall to my death in between. There's doom, right? But a stretch. Right. So you can stretch a little bit further, and you'll find your stretch point. And if it starts feeling comfortable, it's not a stretch anymore. You got to stretch a little bit more. But this is how we move, right?
This is how we
So
move forward.
fear with exhilaration, not in your comfort zone, but not so far out.
But not paralyzed.
Not paralyzed.
Not
Right.
paralyzed, 100%.
Right. Yeah.
The second step is taking action.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, not most people, too many people don't take it. They make the decision, but then they half-ass the action,
Yeah.
right? They underestimate the amount of action.
Mhm.
I'm saying throw everything at it, because here's the thing. If you only give a half an effort at the action, you're not going to actually know if that was a good decision.
Right.
You're not going to get the data. Don't tiptoe into it. Go for it. You have to be able to say to yourself, did I do, everything's a big word, but did I do everything I needed to do to make that decision right? This comes up in my world a lot too. I've heard this so many times, and it showed up again the other day. Make the decision, then make the decision right. Can you that doesn't mean stick with it way beyond its, expiration date, but can you take enough action that you can honestly look in the mirror and say to yourself, I did what I needed to do to figure out if that was yes or no. So it's massive, joyful, imperfect action.
And that means moving through the fear, because we can make a decision, but if we're not fully into action, it's because there's some fear holding us back. It's because there's some thoughts in our head that doesn't believe we can do it. So we have the fear of failure, or we have the fear of success, the fear of, and the threat. Like, one of the things that I have run across is this threat of success. Because here's the threat. I'm a freedom junkie, right? Like, I want to be free. Do not hold me down. Let me do what I want to do when I feel like doing it, right? And if it takes me doing all this hard stuff to be successful, and then I have to keep doing hard stuff to sustain it, I'm just not even starting. Forget it, right?
100%.
So when we say take action, we need to take aligned action that's aligned with our values, action that's aligned with our gifts and our talents, and delegate the actions that are not, but still be in action. So it's aligned action. It's not, but we're not saying do things that you're going to hate. We're saying find a way to align. So if I'm a freedom junkie, I need to be able to be taking action that still allows freedom, but it yet is still action, right? So
and that comes in the decision making.
Yes.
That goes back to helps you make a better decision. If the decision you're making would require action that you would rather have a stick in the eye than do, then that's a bad decision. We don't want to do that. So that's learning to trust your instincts. If the follow-up action is something you hate, that's not the right decision.
Right.
100%. And the last piece, and I tell people this, is get results. It's not the results you want, by the way. I'm not telling you that if you make a decision, you take a lot of action, you get everything you want. Not how this works.
Mm-hmm.
You get data. You get a set of results, right? Hopefully you're tracking. If you're a business owner, hopefully you're tracking them. We can have that conversation. But you get a bunch of results. The results is what helps you make a better decision. Using your example of misaligned action, that's great. Those are results. Those are results. I have learned to interpret my versions of procrastination. If something ends up on my list and I've got some notes on it and I never seem to do the thing, I've learned it's not a thing I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
But you've got to learn it. You can't use, it's evidently not something I'm going to do. Now, if I was disappointed and never moving forward, now that's a fear response, not a truth response. So
right.
Right. You got to have I say you want to have bumpers in your gutters. Where are you throwing good money after bad, or are you quitting too soon? Are you moving towards your goal or away from your goal? Right? Everything, all my decision making, I'm doing this process, making decisions, I'm taking action, I'm getting results, because the goal, the whole process is to have bumpers in my gutters that get more and more and more narrow. Because success, whether you're losing weight, whether you're saving money, whatever it is, it wiggles its way forward, right?
Yeah.
You wiggle your way down the lane. I want bumpers in my gutters, and I want to get them as narrow as I can, because what's happening is there's a pendulum swinging. There's a pendulum swinging back and forth between the bumpers. If I can get those bumpers a little closer together, when it hits me, it doesn't hurt as bad. Because the pendulum is going to hit you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So the less momentum we can give the giant pendulum, the less it hurts. And that's all I'm trying to do with this, is wiggle my way forward.
Right. Yeah. So our results are really about just feedback. Their
100%.
feedback. And you're really kind of also talking about, like in coaching, we have different stages of change. So when we get thrown into change, or we choose big change, I'm talking about big changes. We go through 4 stages or states, I don't know, whatever you want to call them. And the first 2 are internal. They're happening inside of us. So they're like the death and rebirth of our new identity, because we always get a shift in identity. I don't want to say completely new, but a shift in identity. And then there's that planning, that dreaming and scheming planning. And that's why we're kind of we're getting more narrow into like, oh, this is the way we're feeling our way into that. But then when we get into square 3, this is the hero's journey. First, of course, the hero goes, well, I can't do that. That's too big. Who am I to do that big thing? Right.
Yeah.
But then they make a plan, and then they execute the plan. But it's they execute it, but it never works. Nothing ever goes according to plan. So
yeah, all the movies we watch would be like 20 minutes long if things
right, wouldn't they? Right? It's like, oh, then the hero did the thing and that's it, right? So we're basically like Indiana Jones, right? And it's going to happen. I mean, we're going to wake up in a pit of snakes and be like, why does it always have to be snakes, right? But Indiana Jones doesn't say, well, I guess I failed, and sit there in the pit of snakes. No, he's like, okay, I didn't see that coming. Okay, so now what? Get up, brush off your knees. How can I get out? So we're course correcting constantly, and we're learning and growing and expanding as we course correct. All those little mishaps, that feedback that we're getting that feels like failure, it's never failure. It's a gift. It's a gift to show you what works and what doesn't work. And it's a gift of experience that you can use to help others. When as you're finding your way, you can always take someone as far as you've come. I tell all the coaches that I mentor that, like you can, like, don't worry that you're not like the most advanced, most experienced coach. You're a brand new coach or whatever. You can always take people as far as you've come, because you have that experience, the gift of experience.
To a 4th grader, a 5th grader is really cool.
Right? Totally.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. What a really great conversation this has been today, Erin. I just want to say thank you so much.
Hopefully we've inspired people to take just one step, just one more step.
One more stretchy step. But I love that you're talking about speed, right? Don't wait, because then you get feedback way too slow and you're never going to get to the success you want. It takes forever. So we're talking about speed. So I want to ask I know you have a lot of resources that you could share with business owners. So can you tell us a little bit about what you've got, how to get it?
Yeah, absolutely. Make it real easy for you. If you go to conqueryourbusiness.com, it's all there. You can connect with me. I love chatting with people. If you have questions, let me know. All my social links are there. You can find me there. But on my podcast is there. You can find episodes. If you look for Erin Marcus Live, those are truly just coaching episodes. That's all there. And then there's 2 resources you can grab. The growth profiler there. You can grow an ebook. You can grab an ebook I wrote called Connect as a Human First.
Oh, nice.
And how do you grow your business? You connect as a human first. But there's a ton of resources for you, and it's all at conqueryourbusiness.com.
Well, that is beautiful. Thank you. And I will put all of that in the show notes so that everybody can find and click directly on that. And I am Linda Bucher, a transformational speaker and a master certified life coach, also obviously a podcaster and an author, but I like to call myself a ripple maker. because I love to help people with outsized potential to get unstuck, to get to that next level, and to make an impact while living a balanced, rewarding life. And the reason for that is because, like I said earlier, you have important gifts to give to the world and a rich, full life to lead. And that's not going to happen if you're sitting still. So I invite you to go to lindabucher.com and click on any pink button that says, chat with Linda. So let's talk about it. I'll get you unstuck. I swear to God, in 20 minutes. And it's not a sales call. Just book it. So, all right. So that's our show. Thank you again, Erin, for being on Conversations Worth Your While. And I'd like everyone to just subscribe and, join us every week. There's a new episode. It's super awesome. And also, I invite you to fuel the spark that it has. If there's a spark that's been like, woo, today from Erin and I. So I just invite you to fuel that spark. Do something. All right. And share this podcast too. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day, everyone.